Okay, we're going to finish this out starting with problem number 8. So problem number 8 is the situation that I jokingly refer to with a hashtag. Manam Denam is the hashtag that was coined by one of my classes a few years ago. And it means you have a monomial in the denominator. A monomial is when you have a single term polynomial. Denominator is the bottom of a fraction. When you have manam denam, you just split that guy up like so. Okay, into however many pieces you have. Each piece can be individually divided by your denominator. So what I'm seeing in my mind's eye, although I don't usually write out this step myself, is this. Each piece on the top is divided by that monomial in the denominator, okay? You can write this step. You don't have to write this step. Really, the key is, if you get it right, we're happy, okay? So in this first bit, right, the part that I had yellow highlighted, you have y to the 8th over y to the 2nd. So that's y to the 6th. And then 2 over 6 is the number 1/3. In the next piece, you have the number 42 divided by 6. And you have y to the 3rd over y to the 2nd. So y to the 3rd means this, y to the 2nd means this, and you can cancel those common factors. Okay, I'm just explaining why you'd get the y. That's the same reasoning as over here. You'd have 8 y's multiplied together and 2 y's multiplied together. 2 pairs would cancel. Okay, in the last piece, you have 3, and then you have a single y on the top. You have 2 y's on the bottom. These pairs would cancel, so you'd be left with a y in the denominator. And that would be the answer to our division problem, manam denam. All right. These next questions are multiplication questions, and multiplication of polynomials is all done with distributing. I generally prefer to take the smaller, like the thing that has fewer terms, I should say, and multiply, do the distributing from the smaller thing, the thing with fewer terms, to the bigger thing, the thing with more terms. But you don't have to. Our final answers are going to match as long as we all remember all the distributing. So for instance, I would distribute my -6 to all, my -6x to all of those things. So -6x times -2x squared is going to make positive 12 x to the 3rd. And then the -6x times the positive 9x is negative 54x squared. And then 6 times 7 is 42. And an x. Okay, and now we're going to distribute the 5 to each thing. So I'd take this 5 over to here, and that would be negative 10x squared. This 5 to here would be plus 45x, and this 5 to here would be negative 35. And then I'm going to just go through and collect like terms. So nothing else has it to the 3rd, so this is it for that. Then I have my squared terms. Then I have my single x's. And then I just have my constant. And that would be that. Okay, I'm going to actually make another slide for this next one. Hold on. Okay, I also thought I'd use this problem to remind you that you can set these up vertically if you prefer. So here's my vertical multiplication problem. I'm going to take each of these and multiply through. So the 4 is going to multiply by each of these things. You can see that that's really just like distributing. It is distributing. And then the 4 over here, this is positive 12, so I should remember to put a plus in front of it. And then the 4 over here would be negative 12x to the 5th. So that's what I get from that part. And now I'm going to take the x and multiply it to all these things. Again, just like distributing, the advantage here is that I would look for things that are like terms So here I'd have x times 11, and I didn't have an 11, like anything with an x before, so I'm going to kind of just squeak this in over here. And then the x times the x squared is going to make x cubed, and I also didn't really have that in this problem, so I'm going to kind of put it in between. This is sort of a strange thing I didn't think ahead about. And then the x times negative 3x to the fifth would be negative 3x to the sixth. So this didn't have any like terms. So I'm just going to add vertically, which is really quite easy since there aren't like terms to even combine. It's more just like smushing it all together in one line of writing. So kind of a strange one for a vertical setup. In any case, that's your answer. Okay? Hopefully that's useful. All right, the next couple. This says I am squaring something. This is not the same as y squared plus 11 squared. Please do not do that. That's wrong. Okay? And it's because you have to distribute everything. You can't just square both pieces. That's not how that works. So y plus 11 squared means you have two binomials that are each y plus 11. You distribute this y, so you'd have y squared plus 11y, and then you distribute this 11, which gives you another 11y and 121. So your final answer is y squared plus 22y plus 121. This next one is going to work with i's, so we need to remember for this that I is the square root of negative 1, which means I squared is negative 1. And then just multiply this out. Again, distribute. X squared plus I times x minus I times x minus I squared. These add up to 0. And so I'd have x squared minus I squared, but I squared is negative 1. So this is negative 1. So I've got x squared minus negative 1, which is x squared plus 1. Same thing. Right, the last few problems are division, okay? And this is our most recent topic, right? The last lesson. We did a lot of different ways of doing division. I'm going to use long division on this because I really don't have any other choice. This is not a monomial, and it is not something I can do as synthetic division. So I have to set it up like this. And in here, I start out with a cube, then I have a square, then I have no x's, then I have a 2. Okay, you need to put your placeholder in right here. Okay, and now we're going to ask ourselves, what do I multiply by 4x squared to get 20x to the third? The numerical part is 5, and the other part is x. So I would line up that answer of 5x with my other term that is to the x power, or x to the first power. And then you're going to multiply this blue part times your divisor. So 5x times 4x cubed is 20x to the third. And 5x times negative 3 is negative 15x. The tricky thing here is remembering that you are actually subtracting. So this part is going to be nothing, 0. This minus nothing would be negative 12x squared. And then when I'm subtracting a negative, that's going to be a positive. I can bring down my 2 in case I need it. And then I'm going to go to my next step and ask myself, what do I multiply by 4x squared to get negative 12x squared? And the answer to that is negative 3. Then I multiply this negative 3 times both of these things in my divisor. Negative 3 times negative 3 is positive 9. And I need to remember that I am subtracting right now. This is nothing. This is going to be 15x minus nothing. And 2 minus positive 9 is negative 7. Now this part that I just wrote is my remainder. And that remainder can be written as a fraction with the remainder on the top and the divisor on the bottom. So this is my answer to A. Okay, in part B, I could do long division again, but since this is a nice straightforward divisor, in the form of x plus a number or x minus a number, when I have that kind of divisor, I can choose to do synthetic division, and I would recommend it. In the little skybox, you're going to put 3. Okay, you put the number that would make this equal to 0. Okay, and then you look over here and you list out your coefficients in descending order. So this is my to the third. I don't have it to the second. Negative 23x to the first, and my constant. The algorithm says you bring this down, and then it's alternating multiplying and adding. So you multiply here, 3 times 7 is 21, then you add. Then you multiply, and then you add. You multiply again, and then you add. So this number at the end is the remainder. So my answer, and don't forget to go back and interpret what all this is. Like, this is not actually what the question was, okay? This is the question, so we have to make sure we answer that. Our answer is 7x squared plus 21x plus 40. Then that last number is the remainder. This is the divisor up here. And if you're not sure what degree to start with, you just count up. This is remainder, constant, x to the first, x to the second. All right, I hope that helps. Keep up the studying, and I wish you all the best on your quiz.